think it's time. I think it's time for ACOTAR. Hi, I'm Liv and let's start this ACOTAR reading vlog. There's ACOTAR all over my For You page and Destiny Sidwell is obsessed with it. So I'm gonna start it. I've already read 3 pages so far. All I'm getting so far is that it's fairies, I think. I'm not sure though, because it keeps talking about like the fae, and I swear fae is a word for like fairies. So I have no idea what to expect. But I was also in that same position when I read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I adored those books. I did reading vlogs on both of them. Hopefully I like it, but I'm nervous because so many people say that the first book is quite disappointing and not as good as the rest of them. Obviously I'm still gonna read it and I'm hoping to enjoy it. It's actually, I really hope I do enjoy it because I've got the entire series already bought, so I'm hoping to like it. Oh, we've got, I don't know how to say her name, Feyre? I'm gonna call her Feyre right now. But Feyre she's hunting for animals for her family and she can't come back empty-handed again. So she's trying to find stuff to hunt. And it says in the back of here that she kills the wrong wolf and becomes a prisoner. And then bish bash bosh. Don't know what else happens, but we will see. Oh my god. Oh my god, look. I can see why it's hyped. Page 75, which is a decent amount, and I've been like hooked so far, so it's that little chunk there, but it's still a decent amount. And I've been reading it continuously. I did fall asleep at the first because I don't know what happened, but I think I was just like not into it in the first 20 pages, and then I fell asleep and I woke up, carried on reading, now on page 75. So I've met Tamlin and Lucien, and obviously Feyre. I love Tamlin so far. I think he's so interesting. Loved finding out about the masks and how it's like a curse. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect anything because I don't really know anything about this book series. I'm really enjoying it so far, basically. Really, really good. Yeah, that's it basically. I like descriptions of things. I like how different the Prithian lands are to normal land. She's living in the Prithian lands now, and I like the description of them. And I'm liking how different they are to the human lands. I think that's really interesting. And I like the way that the human world has been set up so far and the Prithian world. Why did no one tell me to read ACOTAR sooner? Oh my god, I am loving this book. One side of my hair is flat and the other side is curly, and I don't have a clue what's happening, but oh well. What am I up to? I'm at page 75. I love Feyre. I think that she's a very good character. She's definitely got depth to her and layers that we're gonna find out about. I love Tamlin. I don't know why, I'm just interested by him. I think he has got so much to him. And looking at the fan art for the masks definitely helped me out because I had no clue what these masks were meant to look like. And finding out about the curse and everything to do with them, I was like, so seeing the fan art of Tamlin and Lucien and what everyone would look like with these masks was really interesting, and I was just like, what? And also looking at fan art doesn't really ruin the book for you because you don't really understand who the characters are really either on the other pictures of fan art that you don't know who's in the pictures. But I looked at the ones of Tamlin and Lucien and Feyre so I can understand really who they look like, and I know who to picture in my head. You really interest me, and it's literally not been that long, but I'm just so interested in all the shapeshifting and everything, the fae and fairies, and like understand the rules of everything. It just seems like a lot of it is miscommunication right now and withheld information, but also a bit of wrong information. So the humans knowing wrong stuff and thinking bad of the fairy when they don't really know everything about the fae. Time for an update. I am really enjoying this book. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect this. People said that this book was hard to get into because of the amount of fantasy, and I will say I was expecting, I'm so oily, I was expecting this to be really complicated and it to be really, you know, blow over my head, but it's not. If it's not blown over my head, I think you'll be safe to read it. So I'm at page 112, I think. You see, I just read, yeah, I'm at 112. I just finished chapter 12 as well. And honestly, I'm really enjoying this. So the types of fantasy in this is, obviously it's a different world. So there's two worlds. There's the world in general, and you have got north and south. So one is the Fae world, which has the high Fae and just fairy kind, and the other has humans. And the human world is quite cold and bland and bleak, and everyone's quite poor and poverty is high. Hunting is very common. It's clear that it's not set in like a modern day. It's very horses and cattle, and horse and carts and things like that. That is kind of like the human setting. The Fae area and the Fae courts and everything. So we've not really like spoken about the courts yet. All we know is that there is a court, that's been mentioned, and the Fae world is very beautiful so far. Loads of gardens and loads of birds and really pretty flowers and everything. I've been introduced to Tamlin and Lucian. So Lucian is quite sly and snarky, sarcastic, and I love that. He's very feisty and fiery, and he has quite a catty sort of vibe to him. He's quite sassy and he has very catty comments. Feyre is the main character, and she is very much family driven, and she's driven on making sure she can provide for her family and doing everything she can. She's a very much self-made person. So by that I mean she's taught herself how to do everything, and she's taught herself the best that she can do, so taught herself how to hunt and things like that. A proud person, I'd say. Then you have Tamlin, who is a proud person, but in a situation that he doesn't want to be in. Like, he doesn't want to rule and all that malarkey. I will say your best friend with reading this book will be fan art. I'm just going to be honest. I find with fantasy, I think I've already mentioned this, but it can be so hard to picture the characters, especially when the descriptions are obviously so detailed, but it's a world that you haven't seen before. So you're trying to see it through the author's eyes, and in order to see it through Sarah J Maas's eyes, I think it's really important to look up things. So I looked up the masks, because obviously there's the masks, which it is a bit like, wait, what are these masks meant to look like? You think of like something from like a Party Central, and so I'm imagining something from like Claire's. So I looked it up, and it's very much different to Claire's. I'm very glad I looked that up. It gives you a better idea of the type of things that they're mentioning in these books. I also looked up what Tamlin and Lucian were meant to look like, because I needed a bit of an idea. And their hair, I didn't imagine at first, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can see that now. I would also recommend looking up the animal which Tamlin shapeshifts into. I'm enjoying the fact that we've not had too many characters. I feel like that can always confuse you sometimes, but I am ready for some more characters to come into this. So far, the main characters we're seeing quite regularly are Alice, Tamlin, Lucian, and Feyre, as I've said. So those are currently the main characters that are constantly there. I don't know, I'm ready for some more characters. I feel like we're gonna get some more characters, but I also feel like we're starting to see more of Tamlin's side, his emotional side. So he's very closed off, and we don't know why yet. There's some secret that he's trying to hide with Lucian, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come out pretty soon. I'm starting to get more and more information about him and see his walls break down a little bit, which is great. I'm enjoying that. The way that Tamlin's described, it kind of gives me Lord of the Rings elves-esque, but obviously quite tanned though as well. And his hair like more golden, but like the length of their hair and the vibe, I don't know, that's like the vibe I was getting, like Legolas. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about it. I'm really enjoying it though. I'm enjoying the dynamic between all three of them. I think there is a real strong dynamic. It's very different between each person. I actually feel really emotional right now. I'm at page 155. My goal for today is to get to page 300 if possible, and I am so hooked, it's ridiculous. So this is how much I've read so far, section here, and I'm feeling really emotional, and the reason I've lost my bookmark. Yeah, the reason is because what's just happened really hit me. Like it was quite dark to read. So I just want to talk real quick about this book compared to other fantasies I've read. So I'm at chapter 18 now, and it's pretty safe to say that this book series is a lot darker than Fourth Wing and Six of Crows. It's incredibly dark. Like, I didn't expect what I just read. Obviously we've got, my hair's too messy. We've got all like the magic and everything and fairies and everything, and we've just encountered an injured fairy, and I don't quite know what has happened to him, as in like who caused it, what caused it. All we know is that something bad happened to him, and we do know what's happened to him because there are really detailed descriptions of what he looks like, and it was really heartbreaking to read. Like, it was really upsetting, and obviously it's probably like really important that it's as detailed as it is to really make us feel for this character and really make us see the severity of the situation. But it's definitely a lot darker than Fourth Wing, and I'd also go and say like it seems a lot more detailed than Fourth Wing. Obviously nothing against Rebecca Yarros's writing or anything, or story. I absolutely adored the Fourth Wing, but I don't know, I expected something really similar, and I'd have to say it's nothing like Fourth Wing. It was really emotional, and why am I getting really emotional about this? It was really emotional. You've got this fairy like basically dying. Honestly, my heart was in my throat. I felt sick. My heart was pounding, and I don't know, it was really horrible. I just didn't expect it to be as gruesome and as like cutthroat as it is, and it's clear that there are some real dark creatures in this fantasy series. Just that we're learning with her and understanding things as we go along, and Tamlin's explaining certain things but kind of withholding some information. Honestly, can't get chapter 17 out of my head. Like, it really affected me. So on TikTok, all of a sudden my For You page is ACOTAR. I'm trying to like scroll past things and not see too much, but so far I've seen people be like, oh, when you're really invested in Tamlin and then Rysand comes along, or I know it's Rysand, but I think Rysand sounds better, then Rysand comes along, and I'm like, wait, what? I love Tamlin. But I swear everyone says that, oh, you'll love Tamlin, you'll say you'll love Tamlin all through the first book, and then like Rysand comes along and it's like, oh, hello. I'm a bit nervous because I really like Tamlin and I don't want anything to happen to make me not like him. I do like him. He gives me Legolas vibes, and I know I've already said that, but I just want to say it again. But I have seen this creature that apparently ends up coming about in the first book. They say it looks like a big worm, so I don't know what that is, but luckily, like with fantasy, I'd argue that it's quite hard to spoil fantasy, because like fan art, seeing this like worm caterpillar looking thing, that doesn't really spoil anything for me, because I'm just like, what is that meant to be? Because obviously when you're like halfway through the book, I'm not halfway through the book, when I'm like at the point I'm at, so much can happen between now and the end of the book, so it really isn't spoiling anything. But it just made me laugh. I was like, what is that? I feel like it's been a lifetime since I've updated you on this, so I have no clue where I was up to before when I previously updated you on where I'm up to, but I'm currently at 268, so chapter 31 I'm about to start. This is how much of the book I've read, this massive section here. I read so much over the last few days. I'm really enjoying it. I'm so into this. It's so immersive in a different way to Fourth Wing. We've met Rysand, we have met him, and I don't understand how we're meant to like him in the next book or this book or whatever. People say, oh, everyone loves Tamlin in this book. Why is my book not? Why is it falling out? I don't understand how we're going to go from absolutely adoring Tamlin to all of a sudden adoring Rysand. Like, I don't see it right now. Right now I'm obsessed with Tamlin. He is my Legolas. I'm obsessed with him right now. I love him, and I also love Lucian. I think he's such a good character. Don't like Rysand. Not interested. Tamlin for the win. This will all change definitely in the next book or something. Since I last told you about this book, there have been festivals. So there was Ceremony, which was interesting, with Tamlin, which that I was actually angry at, like, for Feyre. I was angry for her. Then we also had the summer one, which was so sweet, and seeing Tamlin and Feyre just like completely like fall for each other. Oh, it was everything. Seeing him like share his favourite things with her and favourite places, and her sharing her favourite hobbies with him. Oh, my heart was just melting. Everything's kicking off and he's trying to keep her safe, and the way he's done it and everything, and I'm just heartbroken. Like, I'm like, how can you do this? I do obviously prefer, stop reading ahead. I literally just read ahead. Why did I do that? All I saw was the word Rysand in quotation marks, so somebody said his name. So I need to not do that. I think it's so immersive. Also, we found out about the whole the glamour with like keeping the truth from her, and that was so funny seeing that be taken away and her seeing the truth of everything around her. I was just like, what? I was not expecting it. And I feel like this book is so much more fantasy than Fourth Wing was. Fourth Wing, it was fantasy, of course, with dragons and things, but this, with like the fairies and all the magic and things, I just feel like that is fantasy to me. Like, this is what I was looking for. I'm so thick on so many levels. The picture on the front is the wolf with an arrow through it. So that's the animal that she killed in the woods. That it says in the back that she killed a wolf in the woods. That's the animal! And a court of thorns and roses. I mean, hello, the bit happened with the thorn and the rose, so oh my god, I feel so sick. Anyway, tonight I'm gonna hopefully get to page 300. If I can get further, I'll go for it. And then tomorrow I'm thinking of finishing it. But I am just obsessed with this book. I can see why people are obsessed with this series. I really can. Okay, small update, because I am very close to the end of this book. So I'm at page 345, I think. I'm at chapter 39, so 345. The worm thing I was on about, yeah, I encountered that, and I genuinely did not see that coming. Like, oh my god, that was a shock and a half. Through all these trials and stuff, we found out the truth of this curse, which I was actually in shock at, and I was like, no! Like, it's actually so devastating. And I know there's another one coming, like another bit of the curse, but I actually have no idea what it's going to be, because I don't know, there's nothing to actually like guess or have any guesses at, because there's nothing to be like, oh wait, that could be it. There's literally nothing that indicates it could be anything. Basically, there's nothing that can indicate what it is, this other curse that Tamlin's got. Rysand is a very interesting character, so you can go from like hating him to like being interested in him to hating him still, being interested again, and then slightly feeling like, wait, what do I feel about you anymore? I'm so conflicted. One minute I hate him, the next minute I like him, the next minute I'm like, well, I don't like him, but the next minute I'm like, okay, you're intriguing. But I don't know, there's something about him that I'm just very wary of, but I know that he does end up being somebody major in the series anyway. But he is interesting, especially all the good gifts. All the gifts that he's got are very interesting because they are so different to Tamlin, and I find that really interesting. Like, they're so individual, the characters, which I do love. I really am enjoying Sarah J. Maas's writing. I can't lie. I think it's so good and so detailed, and I love her descriptions. I think she's one of my favourite people for her descriptions of people, and it really immerses me into the story, which I appreciate always, especially with fantasy, because it can be hard to immerse into fantasies, but this one, no, I am so immersed into this. Why am I even crying? It's not even like really sad or anything. It's just Tamlin and Feyre got a chance to be together for a few moments, and it just got like ripped away, and I was so happy. I just burst into tears. And I know everyone on TikTok's like, oh, Tamlin ends up doing something that like we end up loving Rysand, and I don't know. I'm on the fence with Rysand. I don't know if I like him, I don't know if I hate him anymore. I need to stop crying, it's not okay. Please be right. Please. Why do you care? Why do you care? care so much. That was absolutely amazing and not what I was expecting in the slightest. I don't quite know what I was expecting, but it was not that. That was phenomenal, honestly phenomenal. That was brilliant. I want to give it a 5-star. I'm gonna give it a 5-star. The only thing that was like stopping me was the thought that other people were like, oh, it's not the best book out of the ACOTAR series, but I thought that was a great introduction to ACOTAR. I thought that was brilliant. That was actually phenomenal. I was in shock at that ending. There was plot twists, and then it was the fact that we had to like look back at all the hints that Tamlin had left her in case anything happened. He'd left her hints. I loved that little addition because it was actually things that we'd already heard. It wasn't like they were going, oh, I remember this memory, but you've not actually told us the memory before. It's just this memory that you did have but we weren't shown. No, these were memories that we had been shown throughout the start of the book and the middle and everything, and they actually were useful. Things that he'd said, things that people had said to him, and conversations she'd overheard. The politics in this book is phenomenal. It's difficult to follow in the first couple chapters, but then after that it's so easy to follow. You just get into the swing of actually following it properly. Phenomenal. I love that book, and I have this with all my books now. If I buy things in a set, I can't look at the next book cover unless I finish this. This is a bit bigger, so this one is quite a bit bigger than the last one. I don't really see any pages without me. Oh no, I just saw something was a lie and it might have said Tamlin, but that doesn't make sense. I'm going to ignore that. 623, 623 pages. This is a big book. This is like my Gone series I read. But then A Court of Wings and Ruin is massive. And A Court of Silver Flames is ginormous. But I know that the Throne of Glass series is, well, it has a 1,000 page book. Which is intimidating. Ooh. Okay, let's see, we've still got a map, which I love. Oh, okay, I understand more of the courts now. If I'd actually read this map and looked at it, I may have understood it more. A box set with all of them in, and so I finally got it back in because it's a really like tight book thingy. So I'm trying to get it out again to show you the front cover and talk about this book. Let's speak ACOTAR because I finished it. Well, first thing to say is what a roller coaster of a book. I can hand on heart say I absolutely adored it. It was brilliant. I didn't know where to start. So this book was so immersive on a different level. I'd say that this arguably was my most immersive book. I've loved all the fantasy that I've read before, but this book was on like a different level with fantasy. So you've got creatures that are so detailed and so different to anything that actually exists in the real world. Of course, you've got things like Fourth Wing where there's dragons and stuff, and there's the veining and stuff, and everything like that. And then you've got Six of Crows, which has different types of people that look different. But this was like on a whole different level. You've got the Fae, High Fae, Lords, Fairies, different creatures which look very different to each other, like massively different. Honestly, I'm in kind of shock with how detailed these characters were. Nothing looked human, if you get what I mean. I mean, I've looked up fan art of like Tamlin and Rysand and everyone, and they do have human features, but you can tell like different things about them that is Fae. So you've got like the hair, for instance, the tattoos, the ears, loads of little bits and pieces are definitely Fae. The spice, I didn't expect there to be spice really in this book. I mean, it did say at the top, passionate, violent, sexy and daring, a true page turner. And I just thought, okay, so it's going to be a bit saucy. No, this book is like so spicy as well as plot driven. I really enjoyed that. I can't lie, I thought it was done very well. The spice was written well. So onto the plot and the characters. I loved how developed the characters were. We got given bits of information sprinkled at the start, and we got more and more as the book progressed. So by the end, we really knew these characters. Like, for instance, I felt like I knew Lucian inside and out. Tamlin, I could tell with his quirks and the things that he did, I knew what he was feeling. Feyre, obviously we've been following the whole time, so you really know that character. I'd say that Rhysand, we do get to know, but there is so much withheld information about him that you don't quite understand him, and something happened at the end of the book that made me go, wait, what? So I really want to read the next book. I've got so many videos coming out with so many different books. I'm gonna need to wait a little while before I can read the next book, unfortunately. This book was a lot darker than I was expecting, I will say that. Amount of violence and torture and gore in this. Well, it's not really gore because it's not horror at all, but it's, you know, there is mentions of things like Fairy's wings being taken off, and it's not pretty. It's really heartbreaking, and it did make me well up. Torture. I loved the way that the information that we overheard between Lucian and Tamlin, I loved how that came back at the end to be something important, because it's very easy, and I think I said this last night, it's very easy for an author to say, oh, I remembered this at the end of the book, and say, oh, I remember this conversation that happened, and then we get to see a flashback of a conversation we didn't hear at the start. I think it's more tricky and more impressive when there's been a conversation at the start that comes back later on, and it's like, wait, what? Because we already know that conversation, we've already heard the stuff that's been said. So it's like, wait, that information was important? So I just thought that was really impressive. The plot twist in the ending, for me, made me say, wait, that makes complete and utter sense. Yeah, I love that. So I really loved all the plot twists, basically. I just thought they were really, really good for this story. The build-up, I'd say, was brilliant. I loved how we were introduced to the Spring Court. I loved how there was the glamour that we learned about that was taken off, and then we really saw the Spring Court for what it was. I loved all these, the rite, I think that's what it is, like the festival thing that happened. I loved the summer festival. I just loved so much of this book, but it's got me like wanting to read more. I think that's the best thing about this book. It's really got me thinking, oh my god, I need to see more, because it's really set up this world in such a good way. It's so enticing and reeling me in, which I just love when a book can do. Overall, basically, I loved it. And am I happy with the ending? Yes. But I am so nervous for the next books, because I have seen so many TikToks saying about how we start to love Rhysand. No, that's a different book. Rhysand. Rhysand's from Fourth Wing. We love Rhysand. I've seen so many TikToks saying about how we start to love Rhysand, and I'm like, I do see it already, like how he's an interesting character, but I'm like on the edge. I've also seen so many TikToks of people saying when you love Tamlin, but then you know, then you see the stuff, like the truth, and it's like, wait, what? And I've also seen something else to do with Rhysand, but I'm not saying that because it actually is a spoiler, but I don't know if it's true, and I don't know how, so it's not really spoiled it for me. Basically, I've learnt my lesson. I need to stop looking at ACOTAR on TikTok because the amount of spoilers on there is ridiculous. Back of the second book, it literally ruins the first book, so I'm so glad I did not read that, because that would have really put me in a bad mood. That is the video. I hope you enjoyed. I have really loved reading this book, and honestly can't wait to finish all the other books. I probably am going to do a video where I'm kind of reading all of ACOTAR, like doing little clips of like the start of the book and the ends of the books. So yeah, it makes sense to me. It might not make sense right now what I just said, but anyway, see you guys next time with a new video, and subscribe, like, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah,